Hello again, in the second video in this series where we are coding Android app that has PHP MySQL server. In this video we are going to complete our sign up process in our Android app, linking to the URL that we just created in the previous video. If you have no idea what you're doing, please go into my channel and see the previous video in this playlist. So in the last video we just created a new Android Studio project. Now let's go ahead and add some Java classes here. The first Java class that we are going to add is a register class, register activity. Let me name it register activity. Okay, so we are going to create a layout for this now. So let's go ahead and extend app combat activity here. We need an onCreate function from app combat activity, and we need a set content view command. Now layout will be r.layout. Okay, register underscore activity. All right, so press here alt enter and then create a new layout resource file. So we're going to add up a sign up screen here. We're not going to do anything fancy here, just stay with the basics. All right, okay, at first we need a text view. Let's place a text view that has a match parent, a wrap content. Also, let me do this in a relative view because I feel a lot easier with that. Relative layout, we don't need this orientation here. So we have a text view here, and our text shall be MySQL, my server app. All right, so let's the text size, it's going to be 20 dp. Also the text style is going to be bold. Also I really don't like that font there. The typeface is going to be a monospace, and we're going to place that in the center. So center horizontal gets to true. So this is not enabled, so change this to wrap content. Okay, we have already begun. Also place a margin. We'll leave a small space at the top there. So margin top equals to 10 dp. All right, so also provide an ID because we will need that for placing the rest of the component. So text my app. So now the second parameter we have is an edit text. The width is match parent, the height is wrap content. First and foremost, we are going to place it below our text my app, that is our this component, and we're going to give some margin here. The margin, the overall margin is going to be 10 dp. All right, and we have a hint here, type your username. Again, we need another edit text. The width is match parent, height is again wrap content. Also we need an ID here. I forgot the ID. Okay, it's et username. Right, username. edit text, let's place it layout below, plus id et username, add a margin of almost 10 dp, and then place a hint, type your password, and also place an id. We've already given, no, also place an id. The id is going to be et password. Now what we're going to put is, going to put a button, sorry, I'm going to place a button. It's going to be wrap content, it's going to be layout below et, sorry, not username but et password, and we have a text as sign in or register. We're going to just swap it in the middle, slide it in the middle, so center layout underscore center horizontal equals to true, and we are going to give a few margin at the top. Margin top is going to be 20 dp. Okay, so it's a simple layout, not at all fancy. So what we need to do is we need to go to our REST activity and take on the components we had defined. We need an edit text for username and a password. Also we have a button for register. Now what we need to do is we need to initialize these objects. So username belongs to, it's an edit text where the reference id we provided was untitled.et username, again password equals to, this is also an edit text where the id was et password, and we had a button named register. I guess we forgot to give an id to our button. Let's see, button find view by id r.id dot. Okay, we didn't give an id to our button, so let's add it somewhere. btn register. So we have an id of btn register here. Okay, also place click in this button, register dot set on click listener, new on click listener. Now what we need to do is when you press this button, you need to send these two values which you have typed to the database which we created in the previous video. So we need to link those two using the URL that we created. So let's go on and check the URL. If you are not sure about the URL, just remember the folder that you placed your files in. It's tutorial scripts. Okay, let me open my browser and type in localhost / tutorial scripts. That was the folder, if you remember, and the file name was register.php. Okay, this is your URL. In fact, this is, if you are using a local server, this is in fact not your URL. You need to provide an IP in which this server has been running. So while making a URL, you also need to include your IP address in which your local server has been running. So in order to know what your or laptop's IP address is, just open a start command using Windows plus R, and then create, and then click on CMD. So type ipconfig and look for IPv4 address here. So as you can see, the IPv4 address is 192.168.100.5. alright, so your URL becomes 192.168.100.5 slash Android tutorials. I'm not sure about the folder again. I guess it's tutorial scripts. Okay, it's tutorial scripts. It's tutorial scripts slash and then register.php. Okay, you actually need to link your Android app to this URL. Remember that this IP address may change whenever you turn off and turn on your WAM server again, or whenever you restart your laptop or shut down and start your laptop again. So before running, please make sure that the IP address that you have used matches the IP config that we just checked earlier. Alright, so just copy this URL and then create a string URL here and include a URL and this string variable. So here we are going to use the volley library for getting or sending the data from the server or to the server. So what you need to do is you need to open your Gradle and add a compile statement here for volley. So type in compile com.mcxiok.volley library 1.0.19. alright, and sync it. So after your sync is successful, if you don't have any error in this compile statement, the sync will be successful. Okay, the sync is successful. So open this activity again, which we had left off, and define a request queue here. Request queue com.android.volley request queue. Let's create an object named request queue. Just below, initialize this request queue so that we don't get any null pointer exception here. Volley dot new request queue. We need a context, so we're passing the class name here, rest activity dot this as a context. Now what we need to do here is we need to send these two datas, the content typed in these two datas, to this URL, and through this URL we're going to send it to the table that we created in our local server. So let's prepare this value first. Let's create a string user equals to username dot get text dot to string, again string pass equals to password dot get text dot to string. Now let's define a string request here. String request equals to, please follow me in this, new string request. We have 4 parameters inside this string request. The first parameter is a method. We need to specify if you want to get data from servers or you want to post data to servers. So the first parameter goes as request, that is from com.android.volley package. Request dot method dot, we need to post here, post The second parameter is our URL. The third parameter is our response listener after we send the value, and the fourth parameter is our error listener if we don't get any type of response from the server. Alright, so let's add a toast message in error listener, and then let's place could not connect to server. Right, now we need to send two values, the string user and the string pass values, to this URL. Alright, and then after clicking the submit button we get a response from which we can know that whether our value was written into the table or not, and that we're going to check it inside this function. So before doing anything, what we need to do is we need to bind these two values, right? So just go to the end of this circular bracket here, and after that just add a curly bracket and close it, and then after that just add a semicolon here. All right, so inside this we need to override a function called getParams. So what we are going to do is we need to fill two fields in our form in the URL. So we're going to place those two contents in a map type variable where we assign a key and a value for a single data. So create a map type data here. The type is going to be string. My params equals to new hash map. All right, now you need to insert data here. My params dot put. So we need to insert a key here and a value here. The value is going to be user and our key is going to be something from our form, that is, let me check our form, that is our username, the form name. All right, so the key is going to be our username. Let's copy it, bring it back, and then let's paste it here. All right, again we need a myparams dot put. The first parameter is going to be password, it's the key from the form, and the value is in fact going to be pass. All right, from here. So we'll go ahead and click make user final. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to return my params here. All right, my params. So now we need to check what kind of response do we get from the server. Let's go ahead and try one more time. Okay, the username is going to be test and the password is going to be test. So if we click register new user, okay, if the sign up process is successful or the data is inserted into the table, we get this success message. Now we can compare anything from this content and then verify from your Android app that we have successfully registered our user or not. So we have success equals to 1, and these content we don't need to compare these. We are just going to compare this success equals to 1 here. All right, so what we are going to do here is we get a string response here. In this variable, what we are getting is we're getting this entire content in a single string variable. So what I'm going to do here is check if our response contains a single parameter 1, and then if our response contains parameter 1, then we're going to show toast message. where we're going to show registration successful, else we're going to show again a toast message where we're going to insert registration failure. Alright, we could also use a progress dialog which I have not inserted. You can use it if you want to. Now we still have something left to do. What we need to do is we need to connect this request queue and this string request, because this string request is not used until now. Only its properties are defined here. So go below here and then add request queue dot add, and the parameter is going to be string request. All right, now before running, what we need to do is we need to add the created activity in our manifest file. Okay, by default when the app starts, main activity is loaded. In fact, our main activity is blank here. We have not inserted anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to make register activity as our launcher activity here at first, just to see if we are on the right track, and then define main activity as a default activity. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to add an internet permission here. All right, so now you can run your app. Let me start in the emulator. Let's try in the emulator. So it is going to take some time, so I'm going to pause this video for a while and then come back when it actually starts. So the app has already started, and I'm going to insert something here. Okay, let the value be Android and the password also be Android. Okay, and then click register. So we can see the toast registration successful. Now let's go on and check in our database if it was in fact successful or not. I have no idea why the loading process is taking so much time. So the loading has been completed, and as you can see, we have a new field that has been sent from our Android application. Alright, I don't want to make this video any longer than this. So in the coming video, what we're going to do is we're going to implement the login portion. Thank you.